right now.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of 305 Takes, coming to you live on YouTube. And boy, oh boy, are we excited for this episode as Angel and I will be breaking down the news and scores from across the league. Before we get started recapping week 9 of the NFL season, let's give a shout out to E2G Sports Network, our presenting sponsor for 305 Takes. You can get the latest news regarding the NFL, NBA, MLB. They even got you guys geared up for the World Cup as it's fastly approaching as we're already in November. So check all that out at e2gsports.com. All right, Angel, let's get started with the podcast. We'll start off as we usually do. Give a shout out to the Miami Dolphins and recap their most recent game as the Miami Dolphins went on the road to face the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field and escaped with a 35-32 victory.
Uh,
My first question is, despite the victory, should the Dolphins be concerned?
yes and no. Cause after watching the game yesterday, I came out with like a lot of conclusions, and my biggest conclusion is like the Bear. Well, the Dolphins defense, they're just simply not good. And with Bradley Chubb, I don't even think it got any better. That was just from my point. But I also know it's hard that he just came in. He doesn't know the defense that well. I mean, obviously his job is just to get to the quarterback and help stop the run, but still that didn't help him. And what didn't help is that they faced Justin Fields, a mobile quarterback mobile quarterbacks are hard to tackle because they have the ability to escape the pocket, extend the play, which makes a defensive line's job not only harder. So I will say that part, but still, even the secondary, I had questions because at the end of the game, I'm sorry, like to all Dolphins fans out there, that was a pass interference. It was a pass interference on Chase
Easy,
Claypool.
easy as day.
They
I
called that
honestly
one for
don't.
Tyreek Hill in the first quarter. I was like, if you call that a pass interference, that one at the end on 3rd and 10 for Chase Claypool, that has to be called. To
Yeah,
me, if
that
you're gonna
that was
call a
crazy.
spade a spade,
That was crazy. And even the screenshot on Twitter where it's like he's clearly
everyone
holding
sees
the
it.
guy. He's clearly holding the guy, and it's not even a situation where you're like, oh, that's just like a bad, angle. Like that was how it looked in real time.
Yeah,
I was completely shocked that they did not throw a flag there, and especially because it was 3rd and 10. Like that
yeah.
was the second to last play of the game, essentially, before the Dolphins got the ball back and just took a knee to
And
end
wait,
it out.
before you go on my second assessment, this is for like you. I think you might agree with me on this. There's one Dolphins player I have that's in the MVP conversation, and it's not Tua.
Oh no, it's easy, Tariq. Easy.
He legitimately deserves to be in this MVP conversation. Because bro, imagine if he does hit the 2,000 yard mark. two
I
thousand
mean,
yards
he's
receiving.
literally on pace to hit 2,000 right now. Like
Yeah,
on right now, he's on pace to hit 2,000, and he's had a crazy season. The fact that he hit 1,000 yards in
in
the middle
7 games.
of that game, yeah, in the middle of that game last week, it is like absolutely insane that's even a thing. And him and Waddle are honestly one of the nicest receiver connections we've ever had. Like forget like the best tandem in the league right now. It's like one of the best tandems we've ever seen in the history of the NFL. And I I don't want to say I'm concerned. There were some concerning things just because I mean at this point you have to expect this team is going to score in the 30s, right? So if that's just a given based on how they
I
played
give
and
like
how
mid 20s, like low 30s.
so if that's how they're going to play based on just based on what we've seen so far this season and how they've been able to move the ball and generate explosive plays, then there are some things you have to nitpick at, and it's just like it, I know the stats were there, but at the end of the game, Tua had two different drives to put away the game, make it out of
And
reach,
missed
and
both
not
the throws.
have it be a field goal. And both times on 4th down, he came up short. And all right, the first one, all right, you might want to give him a break. He's throwing to a tight end, he's on the move. But the one where Waddle is just
He
wide
just had to
open,
throw it a little more, and it's there. He tried to throw
the
like the perfect
the
lob.
defender had no shot. The only reason he had a shot is because the ball was so underthrown. Like the guy didn't even get his head around. He
Yeah,
just saw Waddle reacting to how the ball was underthrown that he just threw both his hands up and got a deflection. So there are a couple things to nitpick. It's the decision making at the end. I don't know if necessarily it was the greatest idea to go for it both times on 4th down. I mean, hindsight's kind of 2020 there because on both plays you did get somebody open. So, like, all right, you made the decision to go for fourth down, and the hardest part is to get somebody open. And the scheme got somebody open both times, and it just wasn't executed. But then you even have before the half where he has Hill again open on third down, and he completed the pass and it was a nice chunk play. But if he puts it in stride, if he hits him in stride, that's a touchdown. And instead of that awful attempt of a field goal before the half, you have 7 points. And it's just things like that where I'm not concerned, but it's like, all right, against good teams, like, is this going to be something that actually, comes back and bites us? And we saw the opposite of that with the Ravens game, where the Ravens were trying to get cute and they went for it on fourth down. Dolphins stopped them, and that kind of is what swung the momentum in that game. And the Dolphins, being a good offense, were able to answer back. But I think you hit the nail on the head with the defense, and this has basically been every game where they've kind of just been just out there on
Bad.
defense and not stopping anybody. And Bradley Chubb being out there was a positive, that he was able to be out there after being after just being acquired and signing the extension. But it's not like he really made an impact, and it's concerning how good Fields was against them, because
Yeah. And note how
he's been better the last couple of weeks, but like
this is
that
his
was
best
like
game
he's the
ever.
best player on the field. Like
Yeah.
he's the best player on the field regardless, and that's with Tyreek Hill still going off. Like he
Yep.
looked like dominant in that game.
We texted during the game. For anyone that doesn't know, we texted, and there was one text, and we both agreed on it. They said, if you give Justin Fields the weapons that Tua has right now, he puts up way more points than what Tua has done. And it's nothing against it. Like Tua, it's just that's what I'm seeing right now, because Fields has no offensive line. His best weapon is what, a battle between Chase Claypool and Darnell Mooney.
And Chase Claypool just got there a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that's his best weapon. While Tua has Tyreek Hill, the fastest man in the NFL, Jalen Waddle, one of the top 5 fastest men in the NFL, Gesicki, one of the top receiving tight ends, can block. He has Raheem Mostert, a good running back. Jeff Wilson, he
I
actually made a
like
very
that.
good impact. Very good impact. I
Yeah,
liked him,
and I think that's definitely a positive to take away from that
and he has
game.
a much better offensive line than what the Bears have.
I agree. I agree. I think the scheme also helps him out a lot too with that, because I've actually been surprised with how the offensive line is played, because really outside of Armstead, I wouldn't say a lot of them have
They've been
been.
okay.
Yeah,
Like
they've done their job, is what I would say. I don't think they've been great at any position outside Armstead, but it's not like he's getting hit like how he was, especially in the first 2 years of his career. And yeah, if you look at the stats yesterday, he completes 70% of his passes for 302 yards, 4 touchdowns, a 135.7 quarterback rating. It's his third game with more than 300 passing yards this season. And out of the 6 games he's played, he's 6-0 outside. If he's played the entire game outside of the
yeah,
Cincinnati game, so he's 6-0. So it does. I'm just happy that the Dolphins as a team and as a fan, I'm just happy that they're at this point. So like, I don't want to like. I don't even want to worry about the quarterback at this point, because he's been able to put up the stats. You can't argue with the stats. There are some throws in the game, in every game really, where it looks like it could kind of swing the balance of the game, but he's kind of had a lot of interceptions dropped, and like how it was in the game yesterday, where he doesn't complete the 2 fourth down passes, but they already have so many points that you didn't really necessarily need it. It would have
you
been
just
nice
needed
just to
the
have.
first down.
Yeah, it would have been nice to just put the game away, but they were still able to come out of the game with a victory and on the road. So you have to be at least somewhat confident that you have at least an answer at quarterback, and you can scheme the receivers open. And it's a really exciting offense to watch. And I know we're going to bounce around the NFL as we continue this podcast, but I'm very excited about this team. And they just that I just hope that the games that he wasn't able to play in don't come back to haunt them in the standings, because now it looks like they're going to be in an absolute dogfight for not even the AFC East,
Wild card.
but also for the wild card, because they already have a loss to the Jets and the Jets continue to win. Thankfully, we did beat the Bills, so hopefully that'll balance out as things go down. But it's been a really fun season, and they are just a lot of fun on offense.
Yeah, on offense it's fun to watch, but defense not that much. I do want to read out the schedule for the games that Tua has played. They beat the Patriots in week 1. We both agreed really that I think the defense won that game. That's just my personal opinion, because they did get that touchdown and really shut down that whole Patriots offense.
Defense scored as many points as the
The
offense did. Yeah.
offense. So now on, and then the Ravens game. I said on the podcast, I think the Ravens lost that game more than the Dolphins won it. That's just my personal
Mm,
opinion because
mm.
it does go both ways. Because I was like, all right, the Ravens, your defense was just that was the big tell sign. The first sign is like their defense is not the same.
Yeah,
That was
but
the first sign.
I mean, but they're still above 500, and they
Yeah.
have a chance. They have a chance after tonight to be at 6 wins, just like the Dolphins. So, and that's on the road too. So,
Yeah.
I do agree with you that it's a little bit of 50-50, but you still have to make the plays.
And then they beat the Bills. That one I should give. The offense did its job. The defense I give more credit because how long they were on the field. I mean, we talked about that,
Yeah,
the conditions of that. Bro, I don't know how anyone was able to stay on that field for more than
yeah,
like 20
that was
minutes.
a crazy
That's
one.
just my personal.
Yeah, that one was crazy.
They beat the Steelers in a close one. It was Tua's first game back. I didn't really put too much into that. Then they last week against Detroit. Detroit started off really hot. Then the Dolphins took over that game and really made sure that they put it to bed because they are the better team. Then the Bears. Now they're gonna go. They have two very winnable games now. The Browns and the Texans. These are very winnable games. Very winnable. The only thing now the stretch goes in their last 6 games. They're going to play the 49ers. That's going to be a tough one. The Chargers, I think the Dolphins should win that game,
That's an interesting game.
but I
Interesting
also
game.
wouldn't be surprised if they lose because the Chargers by then, I feel like they're going to be a little bit healthier. Still not sure because the Chargers are right now. I'll agree with you. You said at the beginning they're probably the most overrated team ever, and I could say that now because they just don't
But
produce.
they also do have a lot of injuries. The fact that Keenan Allen's been out for so long, and now they also are down Mike Williams, that is
Yeah,
tough for any team to miss your top two targets, and especially when they're that talented.
yeah. And then they go to Buffalo. That's gonna be hard. Then they come back down to face the Packers. I feel like they should win that game. The Packers are not what they are. And then they go to Foxborough to play the Patriots. I feel like that's going to be a lot closer than what people think because I do think at that point the Patriots will be like it's do or die for them in that playoff spot. And then they ended off back home against the Jets. So out of those 8
You
games,
got to win that Jets game, especially
you,
after dropping their first
yeah,
one
you got to
without
win the
Tua.
Jets game.
Yeah,
To me, if the Dolphins can go, I feel like if they just play 500 football, if they could end that 8 game stretch 4-4, I feel like they do have enough wins to make the wild card. But my only fear will be, all right, out of all those good, out of the good teams you're going to face, how are you going to look? Because I know how you'll face against all those teams. It's the ones that I know that will be in the playoffs.
and the thing that actually concerns me is like no team has been able to do it, so I don't know if this is a situation that will even occur. But say a team is able to effectively shut down Hill or Waddle or even one of them, because we really haven't seen both either one kind of be shut down in the game. But if that happens, who really is the next option? Because Gesicki, we've seen him make plays in the red zone, but they don't really use him that much until they get into the red zone. Like
Yeah.
he
You
is
read the
like
target list.
yeah, and then when you get after that, it's Gesicki, and then it's Sherfield, Craycraft. They use Cedric Wilson a little bit yesterday, but it's like, is there really another guy outside of the top two that you can trust to get open and like that two is going to actually get the ball to? So that is something that does concern me, and it's like, all right, is the running game ever actually going to get started? Like this is kind of what this offense is like. The overall scheme of the offense with McDaniel and coming from that West Coast system is, we've seen them be able to put up numbers with running backs all over. So, does Jeff Wilson kind of unlock that? I know Edmonds, there was a crazy stat floating around on Twitter from the Amazon Next Gen stats that Chase Edmonds, his expected rushing yards was 100 yards more than what he actually had on the season. And no team had left more rushing yards on the table than Chase Edmonds had done single-handedly by himself. So it's not a surprise that they got him out of there on the trade deadline. But, can Jeff Wilson answer some of those questions? And it was cool to see him catch the touchdown, because I wasn't really expecting him to be a threat in the passing game. And they did not have Gaskins
Yeah.
active for this one. And that was something that I was looking forward to coming into the game. So I do want to see if the running game, because that would be my only concern is, knock on wood, but if Hill or Waddle is, not 100% going into a game, maybe they tweak an ankle or something, like, is there another person on this roster that's capable of stepping up? or can they turn to the run game to fill that void that they're missing in production? Because especially in Hill's case, I mean, it's been an amazing season, but I do worry a little bit about like how much we are actually leaning on him. And you've mentioned the target shares, the target percentage over the last couple of weeks, and just how much he's actually getting the ball thrown to him. And it really is crazy how much he throws it to him. He's on pace right now to get over 2,000 receiving yards, and he went into Sunday's game being targeted on 35.2% of the routes he runs. And that's tops in the NFL right now
Yeah.
amongst all
You
wide
said he's number
receivers.
one in targets.
Yeah, so that is crazy to be targeted on 35% of the routes you run. Like that is like almost specialty stuff. Like, because sometimes you get like not Deshaun Jackson, because that's a bad point because he actually played outside a lot. But you get these guys that are speed threats that only come in to play the slot and when we want to take a shot, so they'll get the ball thrown to them more because they run less routes. But Tyreek's out there all the time, and okay, yeah, he might take a play off, but 35% of the
It's a
snaps
lot of
is, oh,
plays.
that's insane. But it's working right now, and the season that he's had, it is absolutely unbelievable. There's been no drop off, and I honestly think it's without a doubt that he's the best receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, you have to put him in that argument. I mean, if
Just
Devontae
because,
Adams and Derek Carr were more consistent on their connection that we saw yesterday, I would say Adams is like 1A and
yeah,
1B
yeah.
if you
If
want to
they
make
if they had more games like that, because we've seen it in bits and pieces with
yeah.
Devontae this season. He had a cool game, the first game against the Chiefs, and then this last week or yesterday against
Yeah. If
Jacksonville.
he had more
But
games like that, I could say Devontae and Tyreek Hill are 1A, 1B, whichever way you want to toss it. I wouldn't make
yeah,
that
but just because Hill has transitioned from
Mahomes.
Mahomes
He's
to Tua,
made
and
he's
no,
made Tua look very, very good. Not to say anything bad about Tua, like just overall. I just say with the last couple of years of what I've seen from Tua, I have to have my assumption. But with Tyreek Hill's come, he's made Tua look much more better, and he's really helped his progression as a quarterback. So that's why I have Tyreek Hill in the MVP conversation. To me, if I had the MVP list now, I would say Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and then Tyreek Hill. The only reason I still have Allen at 3 because he does play quarterback, and MVP is really essentially a quarterback award.
yeah, and
That's the only reason.
especially, and that was just confirmed last year when Cup set the Triple Crown, which
And
I
he didn't
didn't
win it.
even realize. Football's been played for so long, and I have never even thought of somebody setting the Triple Crown as a receiver. And Cooper Cup did that last year, and is still the only functioning part of the offense that the Rams still have,
Yeah,
and he did not win the MVP last year.
yeah. That's why. I mean, it's a
But I mean,
quarterback
maybe it
award.
takes getting 2,000 yards in a season. So
Maybe.
if he and it's kind of unfair because like he's had such an unbelievable stretch that it's like, all right, if he tails off a little bit and he doesn't come close to 2,000, like it's still an unbelievable
Yeah,
season.
it's unreal. But hey, it is what it is. I'm not gonna say anything more about that. I
Let's
mean,
go Dolphins, man. 6-3. That's crazy. 6-3. Who would have thought at this point in the season the Buffalo Bills, who basically can beat everybody outside of the AFC East, would have 0 wins inside of the AFC East? The Dolphins would have 2, the Jets would have 2, and the Buffalo Bills would be sitting at a 0. Who would have thought? That's crazy.
I
That's
mean,
crazy. Because I mean, I was hype about the Dolphins going into the season. I thought they had a shot of going to the playoffs if they stayed healthy, if they could actually improve offensively, and they have. And their defense has taken a step back, which I did not expect because you
I would
basically
say a
kept
major
everybody.
step back, not a little step, a
Yeah,
major.
no, they've definitely taken a step back. Yeah, that's undeniable. But and I didn't expect that to happen because I thought they were just it's basically all the same pieces.
Yeah,
And even with that, they're still solidly in the mix, and I would say an absolute contender to win the Super Bowl. I just don't know if you can win the Super Bowl if you have a defense that plays like that. But
I
if you have a defense, even if it's bad like it was against the Lions, and then you come out second half and make adjustments, all right, then there's stuff to work with. But if it's just we can't stop anybody like it was yesterday, then I don't know.
yeah.
But I am hype as a fan. This is probably the most hyped I've been as a Dolphins fan because it's legit. It's not like it's fluky. It's just the schedule. We went on a couple walk off field goals, whatever. Like no, they're actually putting up points. regardless of who
They're
is in
competing.
front of them. And it's a fun offense to watch.
Yeah. No, it's really good.
Yeah, so let's go Dolphins a little bit in here, and uh, let's bounce around as we continue to cover what we saw yesterday in the NFL world. And it was a just a weird weekend. So let's recap everything. We have the Packers falling to 3-6. That Rams at Bucks game, which was
That
just
Sean McVay, I'm sorry, but bro, don't. I don't want to hear any excuse.
that was just crazy. And it's just like the NFL is so weird because how do the Bucks go legit almost 60 minutes without scoring a touchdown, and then you give them the ball with
Yeah.
40 seconds left, no timeouts, and they're like, yeah, this is when we're going to turn it on, score a touchdown, no problem.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, we have one, two, three, we have four teams already locked in the AFC at 6 wins, pending the result of Monday night's game.
Yeah.
If the Ravens win, they'll be the fifth team. So it is the Kansas City Chiefs, who got a victory, a hard-earned victory last night on Sunday Night Football. The New York Jets, 6 wins already. The Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, and then maybe the Ravens. Out of those four, maybe five teams, who do you think is a pretender and who do you think is a contender?
Uh,
And then it's going to be
I
tough.
mean,
You're
I would
gonna
say
when I tell you the three teams in the NFC, it's going to be tough.
I would say this automatically contenders are the Bills and the Chiefs because I do know what they can bring come playoff time.
I don't know about the Chiefs. I don't
The
know if it's
only
automatic.
reason I still have to put the Chiefs because I do know what Patrick Mahomes brings in the playoffs. He's ready, but it's like his teammates
I mean,
are simply not ready. That's just how I feel. Out of
but
all those teams,
but it would be like yesterday.
yeah, no, it was
But
literally Patrick Mahomes against the Tennessee Titans.
yeah, and if they had a real quarterback on the other side, I don't think the Chiefs win that game.
Oh no, that's 100% the truth. The only reason I will still say after what I saw yesterday from the Dolphins defense, I know Patrick Mahomes played against that team. Much different story. Though,
If it's that same game, they're not in that game. That's a blowout. That's an easy Dolphins game if it's just like that. But yeah, the defense does factor.
yeah. And so I will say out of all those teams that are pretenders, I hate to say this, but it has to be the Jets. The only reason I say they're pretenders is because Zach Wilson hasn't shown me yet that he deserves to be in at least top 15 quarterback conversation. That's my
Oh,
only
not
thing
even
with the
close.
Jets.
Not
If
even
the
close.
if he was playing like a top 15 quarterback, I wouldn't even dare to mention him as pretenders because I like their defense. I think their defense is actually solid for how young it is. And their offense, it could be a little better. I feel like the loss of Elijah Tucker
Yeah, that
was a
definitely
big
hurt.
loss. The Brees Hall, that was a big loss too. So I do have to factor that in. But still, before the injuries, Zach Wilson didn't play like a top 15 quarterback in my eyes.
Let
So
me
that's the
ask you
only
this.
reason I have him as pretenders.
If we go back to the Trevor Lawrence draft and the New York Jets select Justin Fields instead of Zach Wilson, does that change your answer?
Probably, yeah.
Dude,
Because
it's kind of crazy how big of a leap Fields has taken.
yeah. Because I mean, at least we knew last year, we knew Justin Fields like had a lot of bad games and there was like a lot of bad
But
play.
the potential was there.
The
We saw the
potential was
potential.
shown.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson, he has the arm talent to be great. Like he has the arm talent. It's just the decision making that he does.
And it's like crazy. It's like it's like a kid that was like the best high school athlete on his team, and they just gave him the ball and the freedom to do whatever. And now he's playing at some big D1 school, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go do the same thing, and it's gonna
Yeah,
be,
which is like,
yeah,
no, you have to progress,
play in a
learn.
structure. Like you
Yeah,
don't have to be out of the pocket, scrambling out, still trying to hit a like you can throw it away, live to fight another down. Like
yeah.
that's the crazy thing with
The Jets.
Wilson is but they're super talented. I love that defense. I mean, Sauce Gardner might be one of the best rookie cornerbacks I've ever seen, and
Oh yeah,
DJ
no, he's been great.
and DJ
Okay.
Reed on the other side is just as has been playing just as good,
Solid.
and he's been a solid corner. So I think they're just they feel a year away, a year too early because I
Yeah.
thought this would come a little bit more next year when everybody, and this is with kind of dealing with the distraction of Elijah Moore, and I do understand him being like I want the ball more because he was able to put up numbers last year when they
Yeah.
were not good. And I didn't really understand the fall off with them. But Garrett Wilson looks good as well. Their other first round picks. So they definitely have a solid team. And I do think it was a good point that they did lose Vera Tucker, the guard that they have. But even on their defense, I like the defense. They got CJ Mosley back. So it is a solid team. It is they kind of feel like last year's Philadelphia team where they were able to win, they got into the playoffs, but then they
Once they
actually played.
faced a legitimate good team, it was hard.
Yeah,
But
and they
that's
were.
why even this year, my contender, I actually have the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a team that can get on a roll come playoff time and they can win the whole thing. Because
The only thing that scares me with them is just the pass catchers
yeah,
because
but
Andrews is out, Bateman
yeah,
it looks like he's gone for the
if the
season, but
injuries are gonna happen, I'd rather have them happen now than come playoff time. That's my own. That's I think the shining light on their injuries because the Ravens they've shown us the whole year. If it was 3 quarters, they're undefeated. They are an
yeah,
undefeated. Like they're perfect right now. 8-0.
yeah,
Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's just
yeah,
the fourth quarter with them. But to me, if
yeah.
they could at least like minimize the mistakes in the fourth quarter in half, I feel like they can go on a run and beat any team they can. That's just how
It,
I feel.
I think their X factor really, especially if they can just get just solid production from him. It doesn't even have to be amazing. Is if they get Dobbins back and he can actually be a solid contributor for them,
Yeah,
because that's what I think they're really missing. Because they plugged in Drake and Drake has looked really good, and I
he's
haven't
looked
seen
great.
Kenyon Drake look good in a couple of years now. So that's been surprising. But yeah, I just have concerns, especially with Bateman going down. I mean, we'll see what happens with them Monday night. I know that they did sign Deshaun before the Bucks game, and then they had the 10 days off from the Bucks or 11 now because they have a Monday night game. So they've had some time to maybe try to get in some plays with him, see if they can hit a couple of deep shots with them. And the likely kid was good,
Yeah, no,
and
likely has been very good. So that's
and
why
we heard
I have them as contenders.
yeah. So and I want to see them against the Saints tonight. I find that spread so confusing that they're only minus
It,
1.5.
yeah,
Like that just makes me feel like
but I
something
also
is set
know
up
it's
there.
because Andy Dalton is at quarterback.
It's something set up there. It's the Superdome. It's Monday. I feel like it's going to be a weird game. And remember that game a couple years ago where they had to come all the way back on the Colts?
Yeah,
Was it the Colts? Yeah, Colts with
yeah, it
Wentz,
was
I
like
believe. It was last
the
year. It was a Monday night game too, and
yeah.
Lamar had like the highest passing yardage of his career. That was crazy.
But for you, what do you have as pretender and or contender?
If you had me list those two, I don't know if this is recency bias, but I don't like what I see out of the Chiefs. It seems like a lot of the same stuff that they're doing is like they expect it to just work even without Tyreek Hill. And I get that they have Hardman who's super fast, but Sky Moore hasn't made the impact that I thought he was going to. Juju's finally starting to come on, and it's looked like he's getting the connection with Patrick. But it's are you really going to be able to win if they double team Kelsey and now you only have Juju to go to?
Yeah,
And the thing that actually concerns me is that I thought in the talk around this team going into the season, especially because they had rebuilt the offensive line
they
the
could run the
prior
ball.
that they were going to start, holding on to the ball
They
more,
just
having the
choose not to run the ball for
well,
some reason.
I don't blame them. I'm not handing the ball off to Clyde Edwards-Helaire anymore. Like the thing that they actually miss is the Darrell Williams, because I feel
Yeah,
like this has happened every year with Edwards-Helaire, where he'll have good games where he can be versatile. And, he'll get you 60 yards on the ground and add another 40, through the receiving game. But they need somebody that's going to hit the line and expect to bounce off a linebacker. Edwards-Helaire gets
that's
hit
why I
once
felt
and
they
he's
should have
on
gone
the
after
ground.
Kareem Hunt.
I also thought that they were going to keep Ronald Jones. Like I thought that would have been a perfect game for Ronald Jones. Like Edwards-Helaire, I was watching with a group of my buddies, and every time he touched the ball, I was like, he has no interest in getting hit. As soon as he was getting hit, and the Titans did a really good job of I thought being super physical with them. And I don't know if other teams can really emulate that, because that's basically what the Titans are at this point. I mean, they came as close to starting an option only quarterback as you could in the NFL yesterday. And that's no disrespect to Malik Willis. They have not been able to reproduce even a fraction of what AJ Brown has been able to put up. And Robert Trees does not look like himself. the Burks kid that they drafted, I haven't seen play a single game this year. So, and we were talking right before we got online and went live. No receiver had a reception yesterday. Like that is option football. Like that is Navy football playing the Chiefs yesterday. But they did a really good job of being physical with the Chiefs, and that was the thing that was concerning with me because with the rebuilt offensive line, and I know we had mentioned it that Orlando Brown, a couple of these guys had come from smash mouth, like get downhill, run the ball football, not like dropping back and passing every game, every snap. So that's the thing that gets me a little bit confused, but it is the quarterback, so I don't want to put him as a pretender. So yeah, I think out of those, it might be a tie with the Jets and the Dolphins because as much questions as I have about the Jets being able to move the ball when you get to, important games, that Dolphins defense does scare me, especially after getting exposed by the Bills. I mean the Bears.
So Miles, I just want to let you know I just got a message from someone close to us. So for anyone who doesn't know, well, currently, and it's E2G. It appears Josh Allen has a torn UCL, and it's season ending.
Damn, there's no
That's
way.
it. That is, bro. This is I'm like all the pressure now, bro. Now it's on the Dolphins to win the division.
Damn, they're saying press conference at 4 p.m. today.
Oh wow!
Yo, I just got my mind blown right now.
But we'll talk more about that
Yo,
later
should I go
on.
bet the Dolphins to win
Yeah,
the AFC East right now, bro? What the?
you might have. Oh well, while Miles is
Whoa,
making his bed, everyone, I'm gonna get
that's
a little
crazy.
intermission now, and we're gonna give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, E2G Sports, where you guys can get all your latest sports news of NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. You could check out their website, e2gsports.com, or you could go on their YouTube page and check out podcasts such as us, 305 Takes, First Information, Patriots Place, so on and so forth. There's a lot of content out there, and you guys can check out all the sports news you want from top to bottom. It's a lot of good content. Me and Miles look at it every now and then. I'll say whenever we have free time, we're like, all right, when we're not watching or listening to our own podcasts, let's go check out someone else's because we do like some of these people that we're playing fantasy football with, and plus it gives us a little bit of insight just to how they think, and we're like, all right, this is how they're going to play fantasy football, maybe. So let's try to utilize this in a trade, even though it never works, but still, we got that. And then
So is this guy out for the year, dude?
I mean, I don't know. I'm checking right now. Let's see.
I just Googled his name. Nothing's come up yet. It says slight pain in arm. That was what he said post game, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything.
Okay, I see. It's Fox News. Josh Allen's. Oh well, that's his quote.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Okay,
anything
Josh
about.
Allen expected to be limited in practice ahead of Vikings meeting. So we'll see. I mean, no, we got a message from someone here at E2G Sports. That's what it was said. So if it's true, man, at this point, Miles, you might want to put like a small bet of like $10 on the Dolphins right now.
They didn't even have it up. I wonder. Let's see, because they said press conference at 4, so we're recording this. It's 3 p.m. Eastern time.
We
That's
have
about
1 hour.
an hour. Yeah, that's about an hour for that to happen. So,
Oh, well,
I
it's going to be
mean,
30 minutes after our show. So for anyone who might be
yeah.
listening, watch it.
So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if that's actually true, it looks like I mean that news has to leak out somehow. I'll keep
Bro,
Schefter's
imagine the fantasy implications this has for so many people.
I'll
Stephon
keep
Diggs,
Schefter up. Yeah.
the Stephon Diggs fantasy value down. Every single Bills like player fantasy wise down, and every other person who's just not goes skyrocket.
That's crazy. That just blew my mind. So we'll wait for some
Yeah.
more developing news on that if we get any while the show's still going on. But let's move on from AFC contender pretender, and this is the one that I struggle with the most. In the NFC, we have 3 teams: the Cowboys, Giants, and Seahawks, all at 6 wins.
Wild cards.
I
Oh
think the
well, no,
Seahawks might win the
they aren't the
division.
Seahawks in the division.
Yeah, right now they currently lead it.
Yeah.
They're the favorite at the moment is still the 49ers to win that division.
Yeah,
especially after coming off this bye and getting McCaffrey even more involved in the offense. But out of the out of those three teams, who do you think? I think we're going to both be lowest on the Giants, but somehow those guys just win every game.
they win. I can't like deny it. They don't make mistakes in the fourth quarter. So I do give Brian Dable that credit because Daniel Jones has not done what we expected of him. Because bro, in our quarterback bashing, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but I remember my answer for Daniel Jones. I just said trash.
I do remember that. I
I
do remember
I
that.
just remember I was like, bro, this guy's trash. I don't
Yeah.
remember what you said. I was he the one that you said like just simply not good at football?
Yeah, yeah, it's just
Oh,
simply not good. Not a good quarterback.
and that was our analysis. And he hasn't looked bad, but he hasn't looked great either.
Well, the
That's
thing that's actually changed is that he's just not fumbling as much.
yeah,
Because
he's
that
not
was the
turning
thing.
over the
Like
ball.
you could see, like, all right, he's not the best pure passer, right? But he has the ability to get out of the pocket, boom, 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 make plays
And
outside of
he's
the
very
pocket.
athletic for a
Yeah,
guy
he
his size. Very
yeah, he
athletic.
can move and he's shifty too. It's not even like he's oh, I'm gonna move and just slide
And
down.
he
Like
has
he
great speed. For a
yeah,
mobile
so
quarterback, great speed.
but the thing was is that okay, like all right, if you're going to be a passer that's already limited and you're going to throw some picks, you can't be fumbling the ball when you
Yeah.
run as well. So that's the thing that's been the biggest surprise. But I'm actually I'm
Bro,
actually a huge fan of Dave All.
I know he's a good coach, but I want to give more love to the contender I have, bro. And this pains me to say this. I really like the Cowboys this year, man. I really like the Cow. That defense,
Yeah.
they still get some penalties, but bro, they're explosive on defense. The defense is good. Trayvon Diggs has performed actually a lot better compared to last year because he's not getting as many picks as this year, well as compared to last year. And the offense with Dak back, you have to believe they're going to be way more consistent than they were with Cooper Rush. The only thing I wish they would do more with Dak, they implement the running game, or at least try to get Tony Pollard now as much as possible with Zeke not being able to play.
Well, that's the thing that I'm most curious about is what does the offense look like? Because I honestly thought they were going to make a move at the deadline, whether it was a Brandon Cooks, like one of the wide receivers that was available, not anything like super major, like going out to get, like an AJ Brown type, like how the Eagles did before the season. But I thought they were going to make a move just to get that number two position more solidified. But they do have Gallup working his way back from injury, and now that they've hit the bye, we'll see what he can produce for the rest of their season. But they just rely on Dak a little bit too much. But my thing is that Zeke's actually been good this year. Like this is a year where you can't say like why are they giving him the lion's share of the touches when they have Pollard. Like both of the guys have been good, so I can't be mad at them for continuing with the game plan of Zeke. But what I the team that I think I like the most is the Seahawks.
They've been playing really well, really
And
well.
and and the thing is that they've been able to win games in which they're making mistakes. Like yesterday, that
Yeah,
Cardinals game, the Geno Smith throws the pick six, and the Cardinals take the lead like midway through the third quarter. I'm like, all right, it makes sense. Maybe this is where we start seeing the regression of Geno Smith. But with Kenneth Walker, I mean, he's a beast. He's an
hmm
absolute beast. And you add in Lockett and DK.
yeah,
It's like you only need two of those three to be good. You
yeah,
don't even need all three. It's not like they're super, super, super reliant on those guys. And they move the ball, they know how to play, and they're not going to beat themselves, is what I'll say.
yeah.
Even if they turn the ball over, like they're still going to play sound football and make you absolutely have to beat them.
What just hurts me is that they're in the same division as the 49ers. Because out of all those teams, the team I think that should make the Super Bowl is the 49ers because
Ooh.
I think they're the most complete team. As much as I bash on Jimmy G, he has too good of a team not to get to the Super Bowl.
So you would say 49ers over Eagles right now?
The only reason I say that is because I feel like their defense is a little better than the Eagles. And with McCaffrey on that offense, like, bro, I don't know what the Eagles will do because I don't know what linebacker or defensive end is going to probably help to stop Christian McCaffrey. I really don't.
Like in running or passing? Because
Both.
I think in passing you can put Chauncey Gardner on him.
Oh, well, if you want to do that, but then you actually give more maybe opportunities for Ayuk Maybe
Yeah,
Debo if he comes
but the
back.
thing is with Jimmy G, he's not throwing it deep.
Yeah,
Like he's got to beat you over the middle. But then it's like, all right, then what do you do with Kittle? I do get you because they have the weapons everywhere. Yeah, so that I like that take. I like that take. I mean, dude, they've been on the doorstep of the Super Bowl. I mean, they were literally on the doorstep of winning the entire thing. So like at some
but
point you
then
expect,
Jimmy
yeah,
gagged.
yeah. So at some point you have to expect them to like either put it together or like completely fall off, like how we're
Yeah,
kind of seeing with the Rams right now. But the NFC is the one that I'm fascinated with because I do really respect the Eagles and I think they're really good. But would it surprise me if they get beat? Like,
no,
no.
because
I mean, and it's nothing against them. It's just like
look
I
at who
just
they played.
and it's that's a great point. The schedule that they've had, and if we've learned anything throughout this NFL this season, is that there's not that much separating any of these teams. Like
Yeah,
anybody can beat anybody given the day. The Steelers beat the Bucks. The Panthers beat the Bucks. The Bills lost to the Jets yesterday. Like anybody can beat anybody
yeah.
at any point. The Lions beat the Packers yesterday. Like there's not that much separating these teams, and it just takes a couple of turnovers and next thing you know, you're down 17 points and you kind of have to scrap the whole game plan.
And we've said this a couple of times about the Eagles games. They're great in the first half, but once the second half comes, they just like they slowly come close to like losing all these games and barely coming out winning. That's just
Yeah.
how I see the Eagles, but I mean that's the whole thing. But I do want to give before we move on, anyone for a sneak peek on Friday, we're going to be talking about a fantasy football matchup and it's going to be a rematch of week 1. I'm going to be playing Myles in the league where we're in outside of E2G. I'm going to be playing Myles in fantasy.
Get it?
Bro, I mean, I got to avenge myself because, bro, you like whooped me the first week.
I love my team in that league. I love my team in that league. We got to talk about this week's action first. We got to talk
Yeah,
about this week's action
got to
first
talk
because
about them.
this week's action set us up for a good matchup because currently the standings we're reading going into this matchup. Well, no disrespect, but I absolutely obliterated Ryan. But Ryan's also at 1-7, so not the
I
biggest shock.
mean,
No,
I would
no
say this.
disrespect.
Your matchup is not as bad as one other matchup because one matchup
Okay,
is,
yeah, but I didn't have a guy score 50 points.
yeah.
That's the difference. I didn't have
One
one
guy
guy
in this
score
league
50
lost by
points.
100.
Yeah, so we should give Moises his flowers because and also Peter.
No, and bro, just to move on to that, that's my star of the week. If
Yeah,
Joe
that's
Mixon,
easy.
I don't
No,
have
that's
any other
easy.
stars. I just have one
Easy.
solo star,
Yeah,
and that's
that's
Joe
easy.
Mixon.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns in the first half is insane.
That's why
Yeah.
Joe Mixon is my flat out star of the week. Like I don't have any other stars. Nothing
Bro, I
against my
can't
performance.
remember another 50-point game. Like I don't know if I'm
Uh,
tripping, but I don't remember
Jamal
another 50
Charles.
point game.
Jamal Charles.
Okay. Because
Oh
he was the
wait,
last
didn't
person to
Kamara
score
have
4
one
touchdowns.
too?
Who?
Kamara, Alvin Kamara.
I don't know if I remember him getting up to 43.
I don't remember
I
that.
just
Yeah,
don't
'cause-
remember getting that many touchdowns because that's the thing. You can have
yeah,
200 yards. Like we've seen Henry have multiple games in a season where he's 200 yards, but he's not scoring 5 touchdowns with that.
and he barely
And
cracks 40 in those 200-yard games.
and the thing is, Mixon had four touchdowns and 100 yards at half. Even if they would have sat on the rest of the game, he would have been chilling. But then he picks up a receiving touchdown in the second half, and you're like, all right, they're just doing this on purpose. And I would be absolutely grieved if I was a Tyler Boyd fantasy owner because there was a touchdown that he clearly caught
Yeah,
and it was reviewed. Like he caught the ball in the end zone
yeah.
and they didn't call it a touchdown even after reviewing it. And that led to one of and that led to one of the Joe Mixon touchdowns. And then you also get grieved again because Joe Burrow is like, "Yo, I'm going to run this one in as well." So, and listen to me, we might have a team that it's just easy to bet against because I don't know why the Panthers would be interested in winning games.
I don't know. I mean
They're a
that's
game behind. They're a game behind the Texans for the worst record in the league. Why would they not go for the first pick? So that's all I'm saying. And they play on Thursday, and it's only a 3-point spread against the Falcons. Trust me, I'm all over that. And bro, I thought we were never seeing Baker Mayfield play football again.
but he came in. He
He
came in and got
came in.
a
What happened to
touchdown.
PJ, dude? I thought Baker was done forever. But just to circle back to fantasy, dude, stars of the week. I mean, I don't know who started him because you have to either have been in a deep league or had a quarterback on a position on a bye this week. But Justin Fields is a star of the week for me.
Yeah.
I went ahead. I've mentioned this to you guys. I like to keep my waiver claims until I absolutely need one. So last week I was number one in the waiver position. I went after Fields only because Lamar is on a bye, not this week, but next week. And Lamar, who hasn't played yet, has 0 points right now. And Justin Fields just sat there with a nice
42.
42.7 on my bench. I'm so excited to have him in my lineup next week against that 31st ranked Detroit Lions.
Well, I don't know, man. The Lions look like they got some confidence now after beating Green Bay. I mean, even though we could say something
I
about
put
the
I
offense,
put that more on the Packers, bro.
yeah, but
That's terrible. That's terrible, dude.
no, but
And
that's a good star. It's a
that
good star of the week.
he was balling. And then if you really look at it, it wasn't. Well, and another absolute star because this just doesn't make sense. The New England Patriots defense.
Yeah, they were amazing.
A pick six and 6 sacks, bro. Like, what is that high school statistics that they put up? 26 points I went against. They gave up only how many points they gave up? 3 points? Yeah, 26-3 they win. So they get 4 points for giving up 1 to 6 points. Freaking one interception, one blocked punt,
Yeah,
9 sacks.
and
Nine.
defensive touchdown.
Yeah, a defensive touchdown, and they only gave up between 100 and 199 yards. So you get 3 points for that. Bro,
But
how you get 9 sacks?
but also that was probably a part of the
Yeah.
reason why Frank Wright was fired.
Well, and Ellinger can absolutely not be an NFL quarterback like
Yeah,
that. That's worse than Malik Willis. At least Malik Willis gave you a shot to be in the game. You can't get sacked 9 times and ever say I was a professional quarterback. Like that's insane.
Matt Ryan coming back next week.
I mean, you saw who they named the interim coach?
No, Saturday, right?
Jeff Saturday, dude. What are they gonna have Peyton Manning as offensive coordinator? Like what is this Pro Bowl? What is this Pro Bowl coaching staff we're looking at for them? And the fall off of the Colts since Andrew
Man,
Luck
and
is
we could forget
documentary
about
worth.
him seeing him on Get Up now.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, I didn't even know he wasn't they said he wasn't a coaching analyst or assistant to the staff. And I was like, bro, I see him on TV like every Tuesday and Thursday. What do you mean he's at a
He's clearly not doing his job.
Yeah, I was like, what? Like, what do you mean by that? And he's supposed to come in and fix this guy getting sacked 9 times, but that is they could be honestly a bust of the week. Those 3 points that they put up, just a garbage
Hey,
football
if you
team,
want to name the
and
Colts as the boss of the week,
ruining Pittman. Because I thought, all right, they might suck, but like whatever, they'll be down in games and they'll just go crazy in PPR leagues, like getting 4 yards of reception. I thought it was gonna be like the new Jarvis Landry, but he can't even get anything.
no,
And Taylor, I feel so bad for the people that drafted Taylor
yeah,
because that's not even your fault. Like the guy's either not available, and when he's available, they just can't block for him.
no, I get you on that one. For for me, man, it's hard for me to compete with that bust of the week. Oh man, outside of the Colts, man, I'm just gonna probably say the Packers as the
Yeah.
bust of the week because man, bro, it's just bad that they're just not a good football team now, and Aaron just simply has not played the best. Yesterday was a very tell sign of that because there were moments like it looked like okay, Aaron Rodgers is gonna drive them down the field. Looks like they're gonna score, but that didn't happen. But I just want to stop talking about those busts of the week because, bro, honestly, when we talk busts of the week, I will say this: it just makes me so mad. But I also could be like, I can't be too mad because one, they're in the NFL and I'm not for a reason.
Yeah, but I mean, they're also in the NFL, and like that's our point is to be able to criticize and critique the performances they put out. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm going to do better than them, but they get paid professionally to entertain me, and when it's not entertaining, I'm gonna be like, "Yo, what happened?" I'm not going to say you're just an awful human being, but you know. It's part of the job, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It comes with the territory. But let me ask you in the audience. Let me run this trade by you because this was the source of some controversy throughout my fantasy group chat today with people saying that they're going to veto
Oh,
and
yes,
all of this.
mention it.
So I have a trade. This is a five person trade. 5 players for 5 players. So one of my boys is trading Tyler Higbee, Gabe Davis, David Njoku, Derrick Henry, and Patrick Mahomes. And in return, is trying to get Deshaun Watson, or not even trying. This trade was accepted. We're going to see if it gets vetoed or not. And in return, Deshaun Watson, TJ Hawkinson, Alan Lazard, Leonard Fournette, and Geno Smith.
Bro,
So
that's
when
just
I
way too
first saw
much.
the trade, like it just broke my brain. It
Yeah,
just
like
broke my
that's
brain.
way too many players. Way too
And
many
then
players.
look, I'm not gonna go and veto it because the kid that traded Derrick Henry and Patrick Mahomes, I play him next week. And I was
So
already looking
it
ahead on the
benefits
schedule,
you.
and I was like, bro, how does this kid have Henry and Mahomes? Like, I already know they're gonna drop like 27 each. I'm like, dude, and so I literally put in the chat, I was like, listen, I'm gonna let the trade go through, not veto it, because I wasn't looking forward to playing Mahomes or Henry next week. So what do you think about that? I honestly don't think it's the worst trade because like
It's
Geno's
not
Geno's
bad,
been good,
but it's
and
also
like
not great. That's what I would say.
because the thing is essentially like whatever. Forget about the other pieces. You're essentially trading Derrick Henry and Patrick Mahomes for Geno Smith and Leonard Fournette. And
Yeah.
like I can see the Fournette part because like they suck at running the ball, and it's like I don't envision it getting any better. And like, do you want to put your chips in
But
for
Geno Smith
Fournette?
has been playing well.
And
So
even if Geno falls off, you have Deshaun coming back. So
yeah.
like, so you can stream either one of those depending on matchups. I was super surprised that Hawkinson was that involved with the Vikings offense already just 1 week in. So I don't hate the trade. And Joku, I believe, is still out.
Yeah,
I
he's
I
still
don't think
out.
he's playing for a couple weeks. And then Gabe Davis for Alan Lazard, I feel like that's kind of a push. And then if you look
Yeah.
at it, it's all that's left is Higbee. And I get that Higbee is a valuable part, but I feel like I always see him running off the field because he's injured.
Yeah. So I mean that's the
But
whole thing.
it does suck that it kind of comes down to Mahomes and Henry for Geno and Leonard, but I don't think it's the worst trade. This is my rule for vetoing trades. It has to impact the integrity of the league,
Yeah. At
and
least
I
like the
don't
players
think
that
that
are
does.
involved are actually productive players on both sides.
And it's not like, yeah, it's yes, exactly. It's not like you're getting just a bunch of guys that maybe had one good week. You're not getting Isaiah McKenzie, who is super boomer bust. Like there's no in between with the kid. Like it's either 4 points or it's 17 points because he got 60 yards and a touchdown. But what we will see if that one goes through. I think after it started getting talked about in the chat, there was already 6 votes to veto, and I
Oh,
believe it's 7
yeah,
in total that you need.
it's getting vetoed. If it already has the majority, it's getting vetoed.
Yeah, I mean, I told him I'd stay out of it, but we will see. We will see how that shakes out. But as we move forward in this fantasy season, just make sure we're mindful. Everybody, make sure you're mindful of the buys coming up, especially if you're going to engage in trade talks.
Yep.
It does suck when you're like, oh, I would love to get this player, and then you accept the trade, and then he's on a buy that week, and it just hasn't registered because the week hasn't switched over on the ESPN app. So just make sure you're mindful of buys, and if you do have a quarterback, like I have Lamar on a buy next week in one league. I have Joe Burrow on a buy in one league for next week. So just make sure you're mindful, and you just don't end up putting yourself in a position where you're like, I gotta start Taylor Heineke, or I gotta start somebody that you just know you're not gonna have any confidence in as we move down into this home stretch, really, of the fantasy season.
Yep. And man, for fantasy football update, well, before I do that, I do want to talk to Chris, who sent us a question. What's happening, guys? Wonder what your start sit options for tonight. I got Taysom and Likely and need to play a tight end. Opponent up by 3 and has Drake. Who would you guys start? Personally, I would start Likely just because I don't know who else Lamar can throw to. But also Taysom Hill is really like boom or bust. Like Taysom could go off, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he just has one rush for one touchdown and that's it.
I
Yeah,
have Taysom in a league right now. The only reason he's still in my lineup is because Pollard and Kareem are both on a bye, so it's like whatever. I'll get him to start at flex. I want to see how this game goes because I think this game can kind of give you a couple answers on how the rest of their season will go because they already lost Michael Thomas. So if Taysom is going to step up in the offense, I feel like it would have to be in this game because they need to put wins together, like just
yeah, they need,
period. And
but we could say the same thing for the Ravens too.
yeah, but the thing is, the Saints don't have a first round pick next year,
Yeah, the
so
Saints don't
like
have a
they
first
they
round pick, but the Ravens know this is kind of like if they're gonna lose Lamar, they need to at least try to get to the Super Bowl this year.
that is true, that is true. But and also the Saints are their division is terrible.
Yeah,
Like
their division is
they're
trash.
just they're not playing well enough to be really even competitive in a bad division. So and especially with it being a home game, like they really need and the fact that they were able to shut out the Raiders, like can they carry over momentum from that? So I think this game is interesting to answer some questions for people that might be interested in an Olave now that Mike Thomas is hurt or in a Taysom Hill or trying to get Kamara because Kamara put up a great game last week against the
The
put up
Raiders.
against the Raiders. Yeah, yeah. So we'll see how this Monday night game goes. But I don't know. I struggle with the Taysom Hill thing just because I still personally feel like it's a little bit fluky, just because like he's such a gadget player that you
Yeah, that's
it's
why I
just
say
really boom or
likely.
bust. Yeah. I would go likely. I do really like likely too.
Okay, and then I got someone on Facebook user. I got offered Tua and Eckler for Lamar and Derrick Henry. Should I do it? Yes. Derrick Henry
Mm.
with the way he's going now,
Eckler is the worst player in that trade.
and the best player is Henry. We can say,
Fantasy wise, it might be Tua.
oh well, fantasy wise, I mean, Derrick Henry's been putting up over 20 points consistently, and he hasn't missed a game. Tua missed 3 games, no, because of a serious injury. But I mean, to me, if Lamar gets on his stretch, to me, he's just as valuable, if not more, than Tua. So that would be my thing
But
on it.
I just don't know if Lamar is gonna get you the total yards that Tua is gonna get.
Yeah,
That's the only
I
thing.
mean,
But
I
Lamar
don't think
gets you
he
the
will,
extra points
but Lamar
because
can
he
get
can
you
get the
extra with the
rushing
rushing.
touchdowns. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that will be me. But I do want to give you guys a fantasy football update on our league. So I do want to give a shout out to a couple of people because we have a very, very close league right now. So right now the projected winners are myself, that I would be beating Alex, which will give Miles actually the 1 seed in our division. I know he's happy about that one.
Yes, sir.
Nick is on the verge of beating Ed, but Ed has Kamara, Olave, and Taysom Hill tonight, so we'll see how he does. Miles, he beat Ryan. Like I'll just keep it at that. Dom, he uh, he has a very good chance to beat JP. JP has Devin Duvernay tonight and the Saints punter, so we'll see how that one goes. And then this last game, like guys, I'm honestly I even feel bad for mentioning this one. I feel bad. Peter beat Moises, so congrats, Peter. But he beat him by 100, 197 to 97, bro. And so, Peter, I spoke to you yesterday. Congratulations. I give you your flowers because you almost hit 200. I don't think anyone came close to hitting 200. Ed came close last week, but he was 9 points, so it wasn't that close. You were 197. You were this
Yeah.
close to
You
hitting
were knocking
200.
on the door.
I
Knocking
don't,
on the door
wait,
of
I don't know if
200.
Alex hit 200 on week 2, but I'll have to check that later. But still, man, you got your flowers, and he's the top seed in his division. But with all the people I mentioned that win, I'm gonna say the standing. So if I win and I finish it today, I will be 5-4. Alex will be 6-3. Miles will be 7-2. So the game differential very close. And then Nick, if he wins, Dom wins, and Pete Pete will be 7-2. Dom will be 6-3, and Nick will be 5-4. So it's getting really close. Like we have a lot of like 1 game, 2 game separation.
Yeah. And that's why I needed you to beat Alex. I was like, all right, let me try to start making moves. And then our game next week's gonna be a dogfight. It's gonna be a
I,
dogfight. And
It's crazy. Me and Alex are the top two scoring teams, and I barely cracked 100.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think this one's going to be an absolute dogfight, and it'll be super big for our side of the division. Well, I don't
If
even want to
Alex
jinx it.
wins, you guys are tied again.
Yeah, I know. So we'll see how it goes as we move forward in that, and I'm just looking forward to what the playoffs are going to look like in that one because, I mean, the matchups are not good regardless.
I mean, right now, if it were to start today, well, Alex and Miles would switch places, but it would be Alex against JP or Nick. I would face Dominic, and Miles and Peter would have the bye.
Yeah,
So that would be the
okay.
playoff bracket, and then the winner of me and Dom's game would play you, and then the winner of
And that's still
JP,
not fun. Like that's still a
JP or
tough
Nick would.
matchup. It's not like I'm walking over anybody, you know. It's a good league. It's a good league that we put together here. There's solid teams everywhere.
I mean, I try to look for guys who would make moves, and I actually do want to say that to you first. So I want to tell you how many moves everyone has made, and for everyone listening, because our league, we are an active league. Like this is active. So the amount of moves, Miles has the least with 6. Like note, Miles drafted a very good team, and the only moves he made were like rosters, and I think like maybe one trade. I think.
Yeah, I flipped Amari for Lockett.
Yeah. Then we have Moises with 10. Moises actually had a very good team. He didn't need to make moves. Dom is at 14. Ryan is at 14. JP at 14. I come in at 20. Then we have Nick 23, Peter 24, Alex 24, and Edwin 28. A lot of
Everybody's
transactions.
out here scamming it up. That's crazy. But that just shows you the strength of our league and how active people are in trying to win. You know, this is
Yeah.
a competitive league. I'm glad that the competitors coming out and everybody, and that we
Yeah.
don't just have the same rosters. You know, that people
But
are
I will
actually
say,
trying
I
to.
think
And
like,
I'm getting trade requests all the time. I'm just having to decline them. You know, I
but I
like my
also,
team, dog.
but I also think what we said, what we would do with the money did not help. I think it helped the motivation. Well, mainly me when I was like, "Oh yeah, the one of you's gonna get this, bro." Someone texted me saying it better not be me, and I was like, "Well, I already have your address, so that one would actually be the easiest one."
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes because we still got a little bit of season to go. You know, you can still. There's still time to make some moves and jump some people in the standing. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
Unlike for us,
stressing it too
our
much.
trade deadline is the last week of the regular season, so we got guys like I gave you. No one has an excuse in this league to not make a move. You have no excuse. But
Yeah, yeah, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll definitely see how it goes, and hopefully, I'm the one walking away with the trophy.
maybe, or it'll just be back with me, and I'll be like, "Huh, shocker."
No, then it's going to seem set up. People are going to say we're conspiring to just keep the trophy at 305 takes.
Well, I mean, if one of us wins, I'll be like, "Hey, it's not our fault. We're just that good."
Just shrug shoulders.
Yeah, it's like,
Hit the Jordan. Hit the
yeah.
Jordan.
Well, guys, this was awesome, Miles. I can't wait to do this back again on Friday.
Yep, back for Football Fridays, guys. See you at 3 o'clock. And until next time, peace.